Like the Real Housewives of Max Verstappen up in here.
Checo's checked out.
Joe Monyu is off the track. That steak is cooked.
A lot, I gotta say, a lot is at stake for Steak F1.
Man, even the broadcast couldn't handle that stat.
Man, my heart almost was screaming like, how can anybody be a Lewis Hamilton fan?
No.
Not on my 2024 bingo card.
Yeah, we're gonna have to create a new one now.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Lights Out Latest. My name is Marina, and I'm here with Tristan, Steven, and Jason. Today we're going to talk all things Mexican Grand Prix. Before we get into that, as always, headlines. Firstly, and probably the funniest thing I've ever heard, McLaren lodged an official complaint against the penalty given to Lando Norris. Of course, it was dismissed almost immediately. Because it was stupid.
Yeah, at least they tried.
It got on somebody's desk and it went, oh, very great. This is grid shedding material or shredding material.
It's another one of the cases where you do your due diligence even if you know you're wrong.
Right into recycling.
No, actually, I would
Gotta
argue
pump the
opposite.
recycling numbers up for F1, right?
I would argue the opposite.
Sustainability numbers. We recycled 12,000 pieces of paper this year. Why? McLaren keeps submitting these stupid protests.
Hey, if you have the right, you might as well.
The thing for me is that I feel like because it was submitted, let's say so late, it was probably, I think it was submitted Wednesday or Thursday, and it was reviewed on Thursday, it takes away from their weekend because I think they lost focus. Obviously, Lando still had a decent result, but on pace, in my opinion, he should have been third. And there was the incidents with Max, which are questionable to me. And Piastri finishing where he was. So I just think that it distracted them. I think they could have done better this weekend.
No, that's fair.
If they had just focused on Mexico.
Well, they also had a different driver in for FP1, Kyle Ward.
Yes.
What a great guy. Love that.
Which is also our next headline, which we had 5 rookies in for FP1. Drukovic was already scheduled to be in, but also kind of worked out because I was about to say Fernando. I would say Felipe. I meant to say Fernando.
I mean, he's a rookie, too. He won Rookie of the Year of Indy 500 not too long ago.
This is true.
Fernando Alonso was unwell on Thursday, skipped media day for his 400th race. What a terrible 400th race for Fernando Alonso. But 5 rookies in. Yeah. Can we talk about the fact that Robert Schwartzman got a 5-second time penalty?
And he's not the first.
And he's not even on the grid. Like, when is he supposed to serve that?
Whatever
I know.
he feels like it, I guess.
Was it Jason that said Jensen Button had that? So.
Ooh, I don't know if it was me.
I said that.
Oh, it must have been from Monaco then, right? Was it a grid penalty?
I'm not sure what race it was for, but he had a 3-place grid penalty.
I would assume any penalty not served on one race weekend becomes a grid penalty anyways.
Yeah.
So, like, unless for some miracle he races his first race in Mexico, which I don't even think would happen, I still think it would be a grid penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, whatever.
Anyways, let's get straight into the weekend because honestly there was very not much news this week. Qualifying. What a, for lack of a better term, shit show for Oscar Piastri and Sergio Perez. I mean, Perez is normal.
Yeah.
This is rightfully his last place on his perfect place on the grid.
Hey, isn't Q1 the best because it's number 1, right?
Oh my gosh.
You know what's funny?
Checo logic.
Matt, I was watching a video of Matt and Tommy, and they pointed something out to me that I hadn't even realized. Checo has only qualified in the top 6 once in the last 10 races. Or even more than that. He has more P18s than he does top 10s.
That's disgusting.
I think my stat from last week is he hasn't finished in the top 5 in 12 races or something like that.
13.
Yeah.
It's since last year or something. Oh no, since Miami, right?
Yeah, Miami. Yep, it was Miami.
Crazy.
Yep.
Miami finished first.
And so it continues.
And so it continues.
Crazy.
Yep.
But are we surprised? Ladies and gentlemen, can I please get a unanimous no on 3? 1, 2, 3.
No. Are we surprised that Oscar Piastri was out?
Well, I'm still a little surprised about it, but also he had a terrible lap. So I mean, I think it just goes to show how close the margins are.
I think maybe he saw me make the fantasy move of me kicking him off my team in support of Charles Leclerc, and that's what happened. I think he
was letting Dad win the race.
Yes, exactly. Father-son bonding.
The
son wanted the father to excel.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
I don't know. Qualifying for me was very normal, except for those 2 things.
Yeah.
Because We got another Yuki crash.
We did.
Again,
We did.
normal. I would like to.
Not that normal. Hey, it's
would
he's okay.
2
I'd
in
like
one
to make the
weekend.
argument that Yuki cost more crash damage today than Checo did in Monaco.
Didn't look that bad though. It just looked like he got a flat tire.
Are you talking like Marina? Are you talking like the whole weekend?
Whole weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
than
probably
Checo
then,
did
yeah.
in Monaco.
I mean, Mercedes are struggling
Combined,
with
I'd
that.
say so.
George thrown into
Okay,
the wall.
I totally forgot about that on the sheet. Mercedes, Toto Wolff said that they were struggling. They were going to struggle with the cost cap this year
Yeah.
because of all of the crashes they've had recently.
Better get rid of that catering. Jeez.
Can I kind of bring this up? What do we think the penalty would be at this stage in the cost cap era for breaking the cost cap?
Nobody's broken the cost cap in what? A couple or wait,
Red Bull was over by less than 1%, and it was all on catering, and they got like decreased wind. I think it was 10% less wind tunnel time and
7 million.
7 million.
7 million. Wow.
$7 million.
I mean, yeah.
So at this point, and if he's being open by saying, "Oh yeah, the crashes are going to put us very close," if they do go over, then it will be probably because of crash damage and not because of catering. What does that?
What's the contingency though? Like, let's say it's a final race this season. It's going to mean nothing. They probably won't change position in championship. Do they show up with like 2 people, go out for 1 lap for each session for sponsorship reasons, and then just retire the car in the first lap of the race? Like,
I feel like they kind of have to. It also means they can't afford to, like, for example, if one of their engine goes kaboom, I don't think they can afford to take another one.
Yeah.
They have
Technically,
to
they
go
could just
back
sit
to
out
an
a
old
race.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
But travel costs are under the cost cap, which is why I'm saying that if it does come to it, I just see them showing up and not doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what's the cost of running the car?
I wish I know.
Weekly? Like per race?
Per race.
Oh, I
Over
don't
a
know.
million. I'd have to
It's
say.
definitely over $1 million. I mean, are you saying running the car? I mean, obviously, probably the better answer.
Both.
Yeah, I was gonna say the team, but isn't there just an opportunity for them to be like, all right, they're mathematically eliminated from what? Are they mathematically eliminated from both the constructors and?
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
the
but there's
constructors?
still
Yes.
incentive for them to try and fight for the constructors because even if you don't win it, you still get profit motives for
There's
coming in
no
second
way-
or third or blah, right?
I think
Yeah.
it's mathematically impossible for them to beat Red Bull.
Oh yeah, okay, wait, I didn't even
Which
see
is-
how far the
Who-
gap
who's
is.
right behind
512 points is Red Bull. Mercedes is 366.
Yeah.
So it's mathematically impossible. Who's in 5th?
5th is Aston Martin, and they are almost 300 points away from Mercedes.
They're like
So-
in no
That's what I'm
man's
saying,
land.
though. Is
That's what I'm
why
saying.
doesn't Mercedes just bite the bullet here and be like, let's not
Let's not race.
spend? Yeah, I was gonna say, let's just
Like,
race
'cause it-
mid. Like, let's be mid.
What
Yeah.
they could do is skip. What would be most beneficial to them would be to skip Brazil. To be
Wow.
completely honest, if
To
they
skip
needed
Brazil.
if they need to skip a race because they'd rather race in Vegas
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
or
Which is
actually
probably more
probably
important.
Qatar.
Theoretically,
'Cause
they
that's a
could just
sprint
not race
weekend.
for the rest of the year, and they still get 4th place.
That's crazy.
What if they did? What about this? Can they do this? Just start in park? I mean, I know that's
what
crazy
I'm
to
saying.
say, but
That's
like,
exactly
that
what
was
I'm saying.
Jason's argument.
oh, sorry.
Because
Yeah.
travel costs aren't in the cost cap. So
Yeah.
if you just show up with a skeleton, like some engineer just to start the engine, and you have, Lewis isn't in the cost cap either.
You can literally,
so you
but
just
you
have
can
him
literally
do
bring
one
like
lap.
Kimmy and Mick.
That's it.
This is such an extreme. Yeah, it's another thing you
But
have
it's
You
true.
don't
But
even-
it's such an extreme
yeah.
because this is obviously not going to happen. They're going to show up and try, maybe not try as hard, but they're going to be a full
They're
team,
not bringing any
full
new
force.
developments,
They're not
that's for
bringing any new
sure.
developments. No.
Anything that was in the works is gone.
Yeah.
I wonder. It's so interesting to hear like we're close on that. I wonder how close. Like that's kind of
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd probably make the argument they're within
10 million.
10
maybe?
million,
That was
5 to 10
fast.
million.
That's
Yeah.
If
that's
it's-
enough for a race weekend.
Because the thing is, I think that they budgeted to be. I'm assuming most teams budget to be about 5 million under, without any.
Gunther
repair
Steiner
jobs.
definitely talked about this, like what kind of buffer they give.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say it was like a 5 million buffer for repairs. If you consider, I think the last couple races they've had 3 or 4 crashes, floor damage from Kimi Antonelli. So like arguably, I think they've probably spent 2-3 million in the last race. So let's just say that they're not like $1 million or $2 million away from breaking it.
Yeah.
It's true.
That's very
It's
true.
true. I think they would have specified that though. I mean, maybe Mercedes didn't want to, just so other teams don't know that. But
Yeah, I don't know.
who knows?
I don't know. But yeah, that's super interesting. Of all the teams, they weren't the ones that would peg me for being very close to breaking it.
Yeah. Well, it also came very suddenly, I feel like.
Could be out of precaution. I mean, very suddenly, as in George very suddenly went into the barriers.
No, yeah, but still, the fact that
in
it
the
only took
last 2,
one
3
crash.
Well, it took 3.
Oh, okay.
So I'm saying the last. So George crashed, Lewis crashed, George crashed
that's
again.
True.
Yeah.
That's true. I forgot about that.
And Kimi Antonelli got floor damage in 2 back-to-back weeks.
Someone's just gotta stop tell these dorks to stop crashing in practice. Like, I mean, God.
There's literally no benefit.
Yeah, just if you think you're struggling with the car, just bring it down to pace, speed, and bring it into the pits. You know, like, I mean, it's not worth it.
Yeah, I see your point with
Yeah.
that. But all right, let's talk about the race because boy, do we got a lot to talk about.
Yes,
'cause
we do.
We have
We
beef.
do. Oh, boy.
We have beef.
There is
just a little
ongoing
bit.
beef
Yo,
between
this is
Steven and
not
Marina.
Arby's, bro. Relax.
Hey, we're meatless. We're going to be on meat. Don't worry about it.
Oh.
This is
Alright.
vegan beef.
Okay, let's start with lap 1. Max overtook Carlos.
Yes.
That was beautiful.
Yep.
Such
That
a
was
great launch
something.
off the line. And then everything goes stop.
Yes. Yuki decides to
Because-
go off.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yuki decided it was his time to shine.
This little light of
He
mine.
decided it was his time to shine. I love
Whose
that.
fault are we putting for this one?
It's Yuki.
Because they rate.
Albon was
It's a racing
squeezed.
incident.
Albon just
Yeah.
got
This is
squeezed.
rough.
Yeah, it was.
I don't think. Yeah. I don't think it's anybody's fault. It just happened to. That's the result that happened.
Miscalculation.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
just
yeah.
way too close. And
Lap
like you watch the
1.
video, Yuki's behind. He gets alongside and just closes in a tiny bit, and the
Yeah.
rear tire clips
Yep.
the Williams.
Well, I think the third car, like the car that was most inside of that 3-piece combo, just moved outside enough that Albon had to move a little outside, and then it just kind of domino effect hit Yuki.
Yeah.
Unfortunate. I think. Yeah, it's. I don't even want to say anybody's at blame. It was a tough
That's just
deal.
clean racing.
Tough deal for Yuki. It's a
Yeah.
shame.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say that's just clean racing? Because it's the opposite of clean racing.
Well, it's not dirty racing either.
I don't think it's dirty racing. It's just not
no,
good
but clean
racing.
racing would not involve crashing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think clean racing can still involve crashing.
What?
Depending on the situation.
It's what I'm saying. I'm
Clean
very
racing
confused.
is not.
I would have to
crashing.
disagree, Steven.
You see, unless it's
My
NASCAR, we
point
could
is-
rub and race.
My point
like-
is, anything can happen.
That
You
doesn't
could do
exist
everything
now.
right, and things can still go wrong. It's okay.
Well, yeah, you could do everything. You see, that's different. Yeah, clean
what I mean by
racing
clean racing.
means
That's
no
what I mean.
contact. Proper racing does involve. I don't know.
Okay.
When I hear a clean race, I think of I did not touch a soul.
Yes. When I mean
Yeah,
clean
I
racing, I
agree.
just mean
Mhm.
doing the right thing at the right time.
All
That's
right.
all I'm saying.
Well-
All right, no, that makes sense.
Sure.
I was
Somebody
gonna
who
say
did
word.
not do the right thing.
It's Sergio Perez.
Oh.
Well,
Whoa.
no, he's doing the natural thing for Sergio.
Did you guys? Okay, so he
No, see, that's the
false
opposit of
starts.
proper racing.
He
Yes,
false starts.
and
He's
it wasn't even
completely
too
out
fast.
Of, it wasn't even close. He was completely out of his bird box. Like his entire tire was past this thing.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's
And
true.
he goes, "Why? Are you sure? You should review the footage."
I don't
I
know
was
how
like-
you missed that.
Yeah.
I mean, again, unless like I don't know, your engineer didn't
I
say
can
anything. but, like, I
understand
don't
it from his point of view because the tires are so big.
know. Yeah.
You have so limited visibility. It's
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
hard. I'm surprised we don't get more penalties for false starts because, truthfully, being out of your grid box is not that shocking.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to be millimeter perfect, which I guess is part of F1, being millimeter perfect.
They
but
should-
They
should
always are
have,
every week.
They
What'd you
should.
say?
They are every week. So I don't know how Perez got this wrong.
They should have front cameras
Front
they should-
cameras.
They kind of do.
on the
Well,
wings.
how they
Hmm.
line up in the grid boxes? They have the grid box and then they have a yellow line
Where the
painted.
wheel goes.
So
right?
that's where the
Yeah.
driver can see and reference to see if they're in line or not.
Which is how we saw that he was completely out of his grid box.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just thought it was really funny that
Yeah.
he continuously said,
He was
Are you
just so,
sure?
he was so nonchalant about it too.
Yeah.
Because on the first one he was like, oh yes, we're being investigated for grid penalty, and he's like, no, I'm not. No.
he's like, no, you should be good. Like I was
Like-
on time. It was a perfect start.
He was like, nope.
He literally called it a perfect start.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Something was very off with Checo this race, more than usual, I would say.
That's yeah.
It's Checo.
I hate to agree with you, but it is true.
Maybe it's just the fact that he was at his home Grand Prix and he was just trying extra hard, but
Also true.
Also true. What's funny is I feel like a lot of people had a home Grand Prix this weekend, even though he's the only Mexican, because there's so many
Franco.
Latin American
Yeah.
drivers on the grid,
Yep.
and not just Latin America, but also Spain. So you have like Fernando and Carlos and Franco.
But I wouldn't call it a home race for
It's the closest to
science.
It's the closest to a home race that Franco Colapinto's gonna get.
Yeah,
Yep.
Franco. I mean, Brazil.
Oh yeah, Brazil.
Yeah.
No, that's not a home race.
It is
for him.
closer, but he can't.
He'll
speak
get booed in Brazil.
Spanish.
He was saying he was embracing the Brazilian role.
He'll get booed in Brazil.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He'll get booed in Brazil.
Is it just because of Argentina versus
The Latin American
Yeah.
beef is
No, yeah,
is
the Latin
very
American
real.
beef is like next level.
Mhm.
Like I remember when he first got into the sport, people were comparing him to Messi and like talking about Messi and him and stuff, and that's like the beef between Argentina and Brazil is very real.
I feel like the only
So
country in
he's
Latin
more
America.
likely he's gonna get booed.
Yeah. I was
Yeah,
gonna say I feel like the only country in Latin America that gets like no bad rap is like Peru, like meaning between each other. Like that's from what I've been told.
Maybe,
at
yeah.
least, maybe because they got Patagonia.
No viral.
yeah, but for sure, I would definitely argue that this is more of a home race for Franco
I agree.
than Brazil.
You might get. What do you think, Marina? Do you think there'll be like Argentine fans, like
Argentine.
That's why I had
Clementine.
Clementine.
I would think it'd be really difficult to see Argentinian flags. Not that there won't be Argentinians there that are fans of Franco Colapinto.
Sure.
I would argue that people, for their own safety, won't bring.
Is it
Argentinian
just as
flags.
serious as it is with like soccer?
Yeah.
Really?
absolutely.
Dang, I didn't know.
It's because there's no separation.
Yeah.
Like not to like throw my grandma under the rug or anything, but like she hates Argentina, the country, with a passion,
Yeah.
and she's not even a soccer fan, or football. So
Yeah.
it's just beef between the countries, honestly.
Thank goodness we love Canada, right?
Yeah.
I mean-
Goodness.
Neither of us are good at anything.
They gave us
though,
Drake.
so-
They gave
like,
us.
internationally,
Bieber.
neither of us are good at anything.
They gave us Linus Tech Tips.
And the last
Drake.
time Argentina hosted a race was 1998. It's been quite some time.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, so I would definitely argue that this is more of a home race for him, and he did pretty well. He was probably outside of the initial Max and Lando, like him and Liam Lawson were the most entertaining people this entire race.
Oh, this reminds me of there's an Argentine driver for a little bit in IndyCar.
Really?
What was his name? Shoot, I just forgot his name. JH. But anyway, the long and short of it is he's teammates with Callum Ilott, and this guy had an issue with Ilott, and their fans are so passionate. Like they hold multiple like show car runs in Argentina,
Yeah.
Right.
and everything. Argentine driver. But then there was an incident with Callum Ilott, and Callum Ilott got so much hate.
I'm
It
not
was
surprised.
ridiculous.
I'm not surprised. They
Dang.
take it really seriously.
Wow.
I think
Canapino, yeah.
I would argue that Latin Americans are probably the most, in terms of sports, probably the most passionate.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure.
And his Indy 500 car was dressed up like Messi's jersey from the World Cup.
Oh, that's awesome.
There was this guy who I know this is going off topic, but this is a sports podcast. There's a fella I know who plays at a golf course in my hometown that I work at.
Yeah.
And he told me a story about when he was in the Royal Navy, because he's British.
Yeah.
He was on station in, Rio de Janeiro during I forget what year in the 70s or the 80s that Brazil was in the World Cup and they won.
Mm-hmm.
And the game was played in Tokyo. I think it was in the Tokyo, whatever. And they went to, what's that beach in Brazil that's on the Rio de Janeiro coast?
São Paulo?
No, it has a famous name. I can't remember what it's called. but-
Taquachada?
I know the English name for it. I just can't remember what it's called. But anyways, they had said these massive TVs out on the beach, and he said it was the most filled he's ever. It wasn't even the sports arena or anything like that. It was the most filled he's been at a sports event, like with people. It's crazy how the Latin American fans root. And also, you see their response to Ayrton Senna, like even though he's passed away, like I mean, everybody loves Ayrton. Everyone
Copacabana.
Yes, Copacabana. That's it. Boom, nailed it. And that's
Like
where
the
he
song.
was. But you see it like with Formula One. It's the legend lives on with him. They have so much. We need that like. Almost, I hate to say it, that like Checo needs to go, but we need another Latin American driver that can
Checo out.
really just.
Checo out.
I hope it's Franco. I like him
He's
so
right
far.
there for
Franco.
Checo
I
out.
really like him.
It's right there.
I Okay.
Look at the data.
So, kind of getting into, obviously, we've got into the race. Checo had the false start.
Yeah.
He had the penalty. Did he get a penalty for that?
No.
I don't think so.
Well, did he?
Warning, maybe?
I think he just got a warning for it. Forcing another
Yeah.
driver off the track. Hold on. We're about to find out.
Oh, no, yeah. I don't think he ever did get a penalty.
He didn't get a penalty for no further action, but he also pitted for the fastest lap. Didn't get it, even though he pitted.
On the last lap.
He pitted for new softs, and Charles pitted for used softs, and Charles still got the fastest
And Liam
lap.
Lawson, didn't he pit like the lap before that, too?
And got the fastest lap
Yep.
for a
And
bit.
Lando got the fastest lap before that.
Yeah, but he didn't pit for it. But anyways,
That's more impressive.
Checo was like last,
Yeah.
and the penalty. I
don't get it.
Did he finish?
I would
ahead of
make an
Bottas?
argument for him leaving. No, he didn't. He finished last, like dead last.
Really?
Yes,
I
he
thought
was
he got
17th.
ahead of Joe.
So the finishing order was Carlos Sainz, Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, George Russell, Max Verstappen, Kevin Magnussen, Oscar Piastri, Nico Hülkenberg, and Pierre Gasly rounded up the top 10. Then Lance Stroll, Franco Colapinto, Esteban Ocon, Valtteri Bottas, Zhou Guanyu, Liam Lawson, Sergio Perez, and then the DNFs were Fernando Alonso, Yuki Tsunoda, and Alex Albon.
Wow, I was like sure he got ahead of Joe. Oh, because he went for fastest lap. Oh yeah.
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 Mm-mm.
Shoot,
So,
that's crazy.
yeah, so it's just, I would make a huge argument for him being dropped after this weekend.
Sure, I agree.
If you have
fully agree.
if you have Checo, though, there's another opinion.
100%. I will.
The
be here
question
next year.
is, who goes where? Where do the dominoes fall? Because they don't have a replacement right now. They got rid of Daniel Ricciardo.
You could argue Lawson. You could argue Tsunoda, just because Tsunoda's been around for so long.
Bring Sebastian Vettel.
Yes.
That'd be
I
Bring
love
it
that.
sick.
I would argue that they're much more likely to keep him for the rest of the season, and that
Yeah.
the dominoes will fall
More than
Well, yeah.
likely.
for
I would-
after Abu Dhabi.
I would let Yuki get his test, see how he does.
I don't think
George
Yuki.
Russell.
I don't think Yuki has any shot. At
Oh,
that
remember
seat.
they were talking about Piastri?
0.
That's not gonna happen.
Hey,
I
they might
don't
convince
see-
him. And might
Piastri
pull
said no.
Ricardo.
Yeah, he said no.
What about the
Piastri's
wild
in it.
angle of like, oh shit, did we talk about, like, I think we might have talked about, we might have just talked about this and I missed it somehow, but giving Yuki that seat for the last couple races, you know?
That
The
would be
problem is
perfect.
who goes to VCARB, because if they really do want Franco Colapinto, they're not going to get him until next year.
Well, I mean, you just kind of got to fill that spot for
Yeah.
But
now.
who's the reserve
I think
driver?
any young kid would be willing to
Liam.
be like, hey, I would love to have the chance.
Put Ricardo back
Here's
in?
the other thing.
That'd be
Here's the
so
other
bad.
thing
he
you
would
got to
say
worry
no.
about.
So bad.
Here's the other thing you got to worry about, because teams have had issues with this in the past. You can only run 4 drivers. They've run 3.
So who do you call?
So
Theo Porcher.
if you call up someone else
Yes.
and you have any injuries, you got to revert
Pato
someone else,
O'Ward.
or you got to
Alexander
the car.
Rossi returns to
Alex
Formula
Palou.
One.
Alex Palou would be cool.
Alex Palou.
I
A
did an
lot of
argument for
qualified
Pato.
drivers.
Pato
hey,
would
Colin
probably be
Herta
mine.
just got his super license. Where he finished.
Colton
Boom.
Herta.
Colin Herta, previous F1 target. You see, I think we're all leaving Colin Herta out of this because they really wanted
'Cause
him
there's no
last
way
year.
he's
Didn't Colton
doing it.
But
Herta...
now he has enough points to
I
get a
think-
super license.
I
Didn't he
think
only-
that Red Bull will make a great effort to try and poach Gabriel Bortoleto if he doesn't go out.
Didn't Colton Herta only like just not get to F1 because there was no like opportunities? Like,
No,
he
Red
went-
Bull wanted him. They just didn't have the super license points. Like he was supposed to go in that car, not Daniel Ricciardo.
Oh wow, dang!
Like
know
to
that.
place
In the
De
V
Vries
car,
or
you're
De
saying?
Vries. No, dude, De Vries. I'm sorry, I'm going way back. He was supposed to be in the car, not De Vries. When they couldn't get Herta, who's younger, arguably faster, they looked to Formula E and said, "Sure, why not try out De Vries? He's kind of old." 27. He's kind of old, but you
28
know,
now.
F1 years.
you know,
28 now, yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
he won Formula E twice,
Well,
so maybe it's not that bad. And
we
then he was that
consider
bad.
we consider Carlos Sainz one of the youngins, but he's 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's on the older side. I mean,
I don't know if I consider Carlos Sainz a youngin.
But he's friends with all the youngins. He
That is
hangs
true.
out with
He's-
Lando,
he's
and
unk.
Max,
He's unk status.
and even Max is 28 now.
Yeah.
now
Or,
see,
no, sorry, I take that back. He's 27 because he was born
Really?
in '97,
that's
and we're in 2024.
he was born 4 years after before I was,
No,
or after. Yeah.
no.
Well,
Wait.
you are
You're
21.
born-
Five. I'm 22.
Oh my God, you are 22.
old
Yeah,
man.
he was born in '97. You're one to talk.
Hey.
He was born in '97.
Rude. I'm just kidding.
Hey, I'm just a baby.
You are
That's
just
true.
a baby.
We will like to give a quick shout out to Marina. It was her birthday
Oh, y'all are so
Happy
cute.
on
birthday.
Friday. So Happy birthday, happy birthday. That's it. That's your
Okay.
song.
Yeah, I was going to say, please don't sing the whole thing.
No.
Marina.
It was very fun. Yes, I appreciate the shout out.
100%.
Let's get back to
Formula
real
One.
racing.
Let's get back to Formula One.
Let's talk about Max and Lando.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here's where the claws come out, right? Let's talk
Okay.
this through.
All right, let's skip into the segment.
Thoughts. Let's just open it to the floor. I will go last.
I'm not gonna say both of them should have been Pouties, but I'm still saying that I hate the way that he raced.
Yeah.
That drives me crazy.
The first one was
You're gonna
really,
hate what I say, but I love the way
really
that he
close.
raced.
The second incident, both of them got forced together off the track. There's no way Max was making the corner. So that was deserved.
Okay, I want to put a
definitely.
question to you. If Max had given the place back after he pushed him wide, do you think he would have got a penalty at all?
No.
I don't think
Zero.
so, no.
So what you're saying is he didn't deserve the first one.
Yeah, the first one. Wait, didn't they rescind that?
So I have not seen a rescinding of it, but the original infringement was recalled. The original document noting giving the penalty of the infringement was recalled. I don't know what the penalty will be, and I don't know.
Their turn 8 one was deserved.
I think
Turn 4.
it's likely
for
it was
Max
recalled
knew it.
because Red Bull is protesting it.
Yeah, that was the photo I showed you. Christian Horner was the protest.
Yeah.
See, we've talked about this multiple times. I know, Tristan, we've talked about this.
Yep.
I swear Max is becoming more and more like Kyle Busch, and it's getting on my nerves. It's driving me crazy.
I can't comment on that because I don't watch enough NASCAR to be able to say that. But
He is the villain of NASCAR.
Max
I think
used
Max
to
has
be.
always
Yeah,
been.
used to
Max
be,
has
used to
always
be.
been
Yeah,
the villain of Formula One, and it's not because he's this big villain. Because everybody you talk to,
Well, I would argue
is-
that Lewis used to be.
no,
He's still no. Vettel was.
Lewis was never the villain of F1.
Same.
No.
Same
There's a
career
different
arc.
term. Like,
Lewis. People didn't like Lewis because he was constantly winning.
So
he was
good,
never
yeah.
villainized, and that's my problem with Max. Because Max is currently winning, but he's put out to be the villain of F1. Now,
That was
do
not
I
a good
think?
road.
Do I think that the second one in turn 8 was aggressive? Yes. The first one was 50-50. The first one, they both went. Max didn't go fully off, but he did go off. Lando was ahead and kept the position. Nothing
And
wrong
Sainz
with
gave
it.
it back.
So
yeah.
I still don't like the optics of it. I really don't.
what I don't like is people calling it dirty driving, because I don't think it was. I think that when you have your back against the wall in a car that's not before that lap, like laps and laps where I was listening to Max's radio the whole time. He'd been complaining about tires since the very beginning. He's been complaining about
Oh, you
tires
gotta
since
blame this on his
FP1.
tires.
No, can you let me finish, please? He's complaining about tires since FP1, about just genuinely having terrible grip. All in all, balance was horrible. Car was horrible. Like the fact that he qualified P2 and even took the lead for a split second is actually wild because that car was probably 4th or 5th best.
Yeah.
I'd say probably 4th best because their car's worse than him. But
So you're saying Mercedes was better?
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. They were definitely faster. They deserved to be ahead of.
How
finish ahead
do
of
you
him
weigh
in the
that
race.
up when you have your teammate finishing last and the championship leader who just qualified second and briefly led the race? Like, crazy.
But he didn't. But he, I
Not
don't
the
think
same
he didn't
car.
have the pace. The reason he led the race for the 9 laps that he did was because he took the lead on lap 1 and had an 8-lap safety car.
Yeah.
The first chance Carlos got, or I was thinking it was second actually. He took him. He took the race. He took the race lead and he kept
And
it
then Max
for the rest.
pulled out that crazy move and let Charles by.
Yeah, exactly. And then Lando was never able to catch back up to Charles until Charles made that huge mistake. So arguably the Ferraris were both
Dangerous.
faster
Yeah.
than Norris. I'd argue even Piastri was faster for majority of the race, even though he
Yeah.
was at the back. He was still faster than Max,
Yeah.
Pastry.
I think
pace-wise. So that puts them third. Both Mercedes, although I think over one lap they weren't as quick as for Red Bull, or I guess Max. And again, oh my god, I saw that. I sent this TikTok. My parents are gonna love this. I sent this TikTok to my parents, and it was basically just saying like every time, you know that scene from the only ever broadcasted driver's briefing, and like Pecco's like this, like staring off into space, kind of like weird, confused look.
Oh my gosh.
So it's that thing, and they put it on the screen every time someone says. So like they'll grab a clip that says like, yeah, well, the McLaren's really quick today. Carlos like McLaren's really quick today, and obviously like Max was really good, and then it's just like Checo's face being like, bruh, because they never ever say the Red Bulls. They always say Max and then whatever other teams. It's like McLaren, Red Bull, and Max. So
Truth, though.
Yeah, Max and Co.
yeah.
Yeah.
Max and his ball and chain.
Yeah.
But yeah, my thing is I think he had like the fourth best car.
We could see the first driver champion that finishes in third place since like the 80s. Like with a team that finished in third, but driver champion.
Because he has a ball and chain. B, they just, and my whole thing, and like if I think a good argument, and I think Toto Wolff, the reason Toto Wolff God, I can't speak today, hasn't given up on Max Verstappen is because if Red Bull loses this for Max, because it's not Max losing him for himself, the car just is very, very bad.
Yeah.
Then I think Max is gone for 26.
Yeah.
The reason being because Max, it's come out in multiple reports that Max told the team and told his dad, this is not, like, this doesn't make sense. This is not working.
Yeah.
Way before Red Bull stopped winning. When Red Bull was still winning, and they didn't pay attention because Max was still winning.
Yeah.
Like, imagine that. Imagine being so good.
He's too good right now. He is just
like
too
Perez
good.
said that as Spain this year.
Perez,
he said the car is bad, and they're like, well, Max won, so.
Exactly, and I guess Perez is the proof. He's not a good driver, but he's the proof that the car is just terrible, and Max is salvaging these P5s, P6s. Like, if you get rid of the 20 seconds that he got from Lando, because arguably Lando's still going to pass him anyways, you get rid of the penalties, he finishes 4th.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
You know what's a little disturbing about the first incident is that if you look at how quickly they closed the gap between themselves and Carlos entering that corner. Now, granted, Carlos took a very liberal approach to the corner because he was relatively safe from any activity going in.
Yeah.
But obviously, you see Lando surge ahead because he's going to do lake break, outside move kind of stuff. But Max matches that energy, and the two of them are actually only like 6 feet away from hitting Carlos.
Yeah.
No,
Which screams to me like I think my angle, if we're going to go back to this individual instance in a whole, is that Max, you have to give the room.
Indeed.
Like, you can't not be like, okay, now you are off track, not my problem. You know what I mean? Like, that's not how racing works.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that I just don't understand this, like, it's almost like an ego measuring competition. Like, oh, Lando's sending it, then I'm sending it. You know what I mean? Like, which to me, I would argue Lando actually might not win that corner there, because I think he probably has to get out of the gas anyways, but I really don't get it. I don't understand why he had to push him off the track.
I think that Max has always shown that when he's up against a wall, he'll do whatever it takes, even if that's going too far.
See,
as
you
a Max
understand
fan,
how evil that sounds?
Yeah,
like, not evil
as
meaning
a
like,
Max
oh, he's the
fan,
mastermind.
That's
It's
the
like, no.
definition
Admit
of
it.
dirty racing right there.
Yeah.
Hey,
not-
Michael
no.
Schumacher did a lot of the
That's
same.
Oh,
not-
absolutely. But Michael Schumacher was hated too
Like,
for a lot of those
literally-
reasons.
I don't think it's dirty racing.
Literally-
I think it's a mental thing, because I think, and if you go back to Max's like race, his
like, he can't
own
not
cam.
win.
Yeah.
They didn't tell him about the second 10-second penalty until right before he came into the pits. They didn't want him to get pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this is same exact situation as
So
like Michael Schumacher.
as much as I would
on
love
any
to
of his
say,
racing
Max has
championships.
matured. Max is done being that super aggressive Max. It's not. The rules that we see in place, a lot of them right now, were made because of Max Verstappen. And they'll continue
That's a
to be
lot
that
of
way.
rules.
Yeah.
They'll continue to be that way.
Yeah.
I don't want to call it dirty racing, because I think that no matter what, I think dirty racing would be going into a corner,
Enforcing
not
your
bracing
driver
it, no,
out.
not braking at all, and knowing that if you do what you do,
See,
someone else is going to get hurt.
I would call that
that's dirty racing.
I would call that
That's called
reckless
attempted.
racing.
That's called manslaughter.
Yeah,
like I'm gonna drive in a
I
corner
think-
and not press
call
the
that
brakes. I'm
reckless.
just going
I'd call that
right
reckless.
into them.
Okay, so
That's
how
dirty
about
driving. That's
okay?
your
Can we
guy
meet in the middle
charge.
then? I think that what Max did was reckless driving, not dirty racing.
Well,
I think dirty racing applies.
So you
to
think
know,
so you think it was worse than dirty racing?
No, dirty racing implies. I think reckless driving.
I think
is-
reckless racing is worse than dirty.
I think dirty racing is worse.
What?
Dirty
I-
racing is intentional. So you're trying to say, right?
Yes, dirty racing is
And
intentional.
reckless driving
Reckless
is
driving
just I don't care.
It's just a
It's
little
not
bit
targeted.
Exactly.
Okay, I guess I see what you're saying.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
I think that
okay.
the reckless driving is hot-headed driving,
Yeah.
and I think dirty driving is I want to like kill this person, or I want to
Yeah.
purposely push them off track and send them into the gravel and stuff. And I don't think that's what Max does. And
That's fair.
I honestly
He's
think
riding
that
the fine line.
I
Yeah.
think
It is.
it is. It
Just
is a
like the
fine
Because he
line.
knows Norris is his championship rival, and he is going to.
I would
right-
also argue
right next to him
that
like that.
Lando showed him by his track record, and this might not stick, but showed him by his track record that he would back out. Just like
I'd say
so-
recent races. Well, see,
so
that's the thing,
what
though.
that's what Lewis did. And again, a drive you shouldn't have to rely on someone else to back out. So I agree with you on that standpoint, and I do think that at times it can be very reckless. However, if you show someone, and then this is where I think Max did a good job. When he came into the sport, he showed people he wouldn't back out.
Yeah.
He showed people that if you stick it up the inside with me, we're gonna crash because I'm not taking my foot off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it works for him because
Yeah.
people are scared.
Well,
When
I
he
think
was overtaking towards the back today, like over like Ocon and stuff,
Yeah.
I legitimately thought that they forgot that they weren't being shown blue flags when they saw Max Verstappen in their rearview mirror because that all they almost took the foot off the gas. They were
Yeah.
braking so early into turn one, and Max was just
See, I think the thing
sending it.
is, I think for sure Max. We even talked about this earlier with like him talking about like the FA and stuff. Max totally does not fit the F1 mold, but in his racing.
What do you mean?
I think that
Supercars.
What's the F1 molds though?
Well, I think put it this way, Max
of
is more
rules.
has the mindset of a NASCAR driver. He just doesn't care. Whereas I think, I mean, not that he doesn't care, but he's willing to do anything. And I think in today's F1, I think it's more based about being nice and racing respectfully.
But do you think that it should be that way?
Like Lewis would
Wouldn't
never do
you
the stuff
argue?
Max does.
Wouldn't you argue
Charles wouldn't do the
that
stuff Max
F1
does.
would be better if there were more drivers that drove not as Max Verstappen does, but more as aggressive or almost as aggressively as Max does?
See, here's the thing, though.
Because
It'd
right
be
now
funny
it's
to
so
watch.
respectful.
Yeah.
It's
It'd be
so
really
respectful.
funny.
It's
Yeah.
almost too respectful.
Well,
at
because
times.
I think
I
that's
think
a,
F1's the
penalties.
exception, though. Like, I really do. Like, I really think F1, because of how fragile those cars are,
That's
you have to be gentle.
exactly.
Like,
That's
the
the point I was
idea
gonna
of
make.
gentlemanly warfare should
Yeah.
only exist in this sport.
yeah, that's the problem.
Fair.
If,
I think
if they were
that's the-
fiberglass cars
Yeah.
and you could play around with them, this would not be a problem. But
Yeah,
since if you
full-bodied,
touch 'em
yeah.
and your wheel just pops off, it's like, of course you're gonna have.
I
to
think
race
that's
clean.
why F1 is this pedigree that we all have come to know it is. I mean, sure, the cars naturally will hit one another occasionally. That
Yeah.
happens. We're only human at the end of the
And
day.
there's a lot more at stake.
But I think your percentage of that and also your percentage of like dastardly driving almost needs to be less so.
yeah.
I understand dastardly is an aggressive term,
Yeah.
but I truly kind of see it like, and
I
again, I
feel
kind of before we started the podcast today, I was like, I don't know if I'm like what I'm seeing because we
Yeah.
haven't had to see this Max in quite some time.
He hasn't had to fight.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
hasn't
That's what I'm
had to
saying. He
fight.
hasn't had
Yeah.
to.
And when he had to, it wasn't for the championship, so he would back off and know, hey, if I don't win this one, it's okay. I'm still going to finish like 5th, and it'll
Yeah.
be okay.
Yeah.
Well, to your point, he didn't though. He didn't finish 5th ever. He would back off and just get him somewhere else. Like if you
Yeah.
think back to like Australia 2023,
yeah.
Yeah.
Max
Austria 2019.
Max let him go. I want to say it was the Ferraris. It was either Ferrari or Mercedes. They just let him go. He literally was just like, I couldn't care less,
Yeah.
and let them overtake him at the start. He got him back in like 3-4 laps, and he
Yeah.
held the race
But
for
that's
the rest
when
of
he
it. So
has the car.
that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
he's been put in a position in part by Red Bull and by Sergio Perez, where the team doesn't have much money to develop because Sergio Perez won't stop crashing the car.
Yeah.
They don't fully understand what's wrong,
yeah.
so they can't fix it. They are much slower. They are arguably the fourth slowest team, the third to fourth, depending on the race weekend. Fastest, third to fourth fastest.
Yeah.
Which means all of their closest competitors in both championships are faster than them.
Yeah.
And he's having to salvage these P3, P4 performances. And
Yeah.
if I was, I'm being like straight up, if I was Max Verstappen, anytime Lando Norris got close to me, I'd do exactly what Max did.
No, I don't blame him.
Because
Totally
he has no skin in the game. If they crash out, the only person who benefits is Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's the
Is
question
it dirty?
though.
Is that's dirty racing, and it's not what he did today, but that would be dirty racing. That was what happened on the last lap in Abu Dhabi, and they were like, well, if they crash out now, doesn't matter.
Well, I will say they got lucky though. They banged wheels, you know, and not side pods because it got close, you know.
It did.
My question is, don't you think though that Max either way, even if this wasn't the case in all these factors, he still would have been raced the same way if it was close in the championship?
Yeah, you see, the dirty racing is Schumacher 97. Dirty racing is Schumacher 94. Like, wait, did I get that right?
Repeat
94?
your question.
Basically, get rid of all these factors. They're still just close in the championship. Do you think Max would still race Lando the way he is?
If he had more of a buffer, no.
Okay.
If the gap, instead of being, I think it's 47 points now.
Well, I just mean literally, if there's the exact situation it is now, just minus all the negatives.
What do you mean by minus all the negatives?
Well, just like the fact that you were saying, like, they don't know what's wrong with the car, they don't have the money, they can't develop.
So you're saying if Max and Lando had equal machinery?
Well,
I love that word.
Yeah, sure.
I know Nico does.
Okay. If Red Bull had the same pace they had earlier in the year and McLaren were fast, no, I don't think they would. Because I think that Max's, I don't want to say Max's issue, but what leads Max to drive the way he did today, which I'm not necessarily saying is bad, but was slightly reckless, and got him 2 penalties, which ultimately without those 2, he would have been probably around 4th. And that's much better for championship.
Right.
Is the fact that he's being put, like I said, in this corner.
Yeah.
He's got a 47-point gap that he's got to maintain because literally one DNF and that's cut in half.
Almost had today.
Almost had today.
Almost.
He's got a ball and chain in the form of Sergio Perez.
Yeah.
He's got a car that's not quick, so he is having to salvage these 5th points. I mean, to your point, back in Singapore when Danny Ricciardo took the fastest lap, it meant that if Max finished second every race, it was mathematically impossible for Lando Norris to win the championship. He can't. He's incapable of getting second because his car isn't fast enough. So anytime he's put in a position where he has to defend from someone who can actually cost him, which right now is just Lando Norris, he's going to give it everything.
That's fair.
I think that's why he's driving the way he is.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in a family therapy session right now. I'm feeling a lot better.
There you go. That's good to hear.
I like it.
And I think if Schumacher was put in Verstappen's shoes today, he would do the same thing.
I agree.
Imagine K-Mac was
I
in
think if
Max's
Fernando
situation.
was put in the same shoes as Max Verstappen, he'd do the same thing.
Fernando was one of the dirtiest drivers, like 17 and 18.
Yeah.
He was really bad. Like 2017,
I think
Chinese Grand Prix versus Vettel.
I think
it was
that George
really
would do the same
bad.
thing.
So bad.
I think George would do the same thing as well.
Yeah.
No, see, I don't want to put
Was
a
it
Lando Norris
2018?
game, but I don't know.
I think it was 2018.
Well, yeah, you know what? No, I won't even
I
go
would
there.
love to see, not as a Max Verstappen fan, but as a Formula One fan, I'd love to see a championship fight between Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris.
That'd be cool.
Because I think it'd be the most respectful championship fight we'd ever seen.
Absolutely.
Potentially, yeah.
Put him or Carlos in there, too. I mean.
However, I think it'd be the most respectful until like the last 5 races. Till we get to this point in the season,
last
I think
5
you would
races
start
would start.
seeing you'll start seeing what Max would say because at the end of the day, all these guys want to do is win.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
They have spent their entire lives working to get to F1, to then win a race, to then win a championship. That's all. It's all about winning. So, to hell with a penalty. To hell with the FIA. To hell with a shitty
This is like
car.
an uprising.
Yeah.
Right? Like. Anyways,
That's funny.
let's talk about another guy with a shitty car. But just a shitty driver. Sorry, pardon my French, guys. Liam Lawson and Checo had an epic battle. That was so fun.
It was crazy.
Yeah, that was wild.
And they both said, "What is this idiot doing?"
Yeah.
That was so funny.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was wild as Lawson gave him the finger while passing
I
him.
didn't see that live. I just saw it
That was
after
wild.
on Twitter. That's insane. I know Steven showed me. That's crazy.
Wasn't there also a fight too between them and Lance Stroll? Like Checo and
Lance got
Stroll?
Checo on the next lap.
Yeah, Lance
Yeah.
like stumbled into it. It's kind of funny.
It's like,
Yeah.
da-da-da-da-da. Oh!
Oh,
There's a Red Bull. Wait, we're racing. We're not getting lapped. Oh,
Dad, help me. Dad, help me.
Please.
Red Bull
Please help.
in front of me. What do I do?
yeah.
I mean, to be fair enough, he was teammates with Perez for a bit, so he kind of
Oh,
knows.
in racing
Yeah.
media?
He
Yeah.
knows the craftiness of
does.
Perez.
Yeah.
Too bad Perez's craftiness is making paper snowflakes and not racecraft. But,
Oh my gosh.
Well, speaking of Liam, though, Liam also had a great battle with Franco
He did.
Yeah, until it
Battle
got
with the
physical a
future.
little
until
bit.
it got physical.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, what happened to them is probably exactly what would have happened to Max and Lando had Max put his foot on the brake half a millisecond later
Probably.
than he did.
Yeah.
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 Still like to see the rookies
However-
going after it.
However, the lap 12 incident in COTA, not to go back to the Max thing, Max braked a lot later than he did today.
Yes. Very true.
So, less of a dive bomb. You can't call it a dive bomb this week.
No, I don't call it a dive bomb. I don't think so.
So, anyways, Liam
not
had
classified as a
Liam
dive
had
bomb.
damage, comes into the pits, and started what I think was the best part of the entire race.
The last two laps are
The last two laps where everyone decided they wanted to take the fastest lap.
Yep.
Liam Lawson took it for a bit. Lando then took it back. He had it. Liam took it. Lando took it back. He didn't actually pit.
Charles Leclerc.
Then Charles and Checo pit.
Checo could not do it.
I'd like to point out that the guy is such a ball and chain that he pitted for new soft tires, where Charles had used soft tires.
And he did it a lap later, so his car's later
And
on
he did
fuel.
a lap
Yep.
later,
My
and
gosh.
Charles still took the fastest lap.
He did have a damaged car, though, Perez. Slightly damaged, yeah.
Slightly, not
I
enough.
can't-
Did he even mention it post-race, Perez?
No clue.
I don't think so.
I can't stop thinking about, I don't know if y'all saw it where Franco Colapinto was talking about it last week. I forget who did it. But he was like, dude, you guys, we're trying to save the environment here. You can't just be coming in for tires on the last lap.
Going back
Hence
to
why they
the
got rid of
Franco
the rule.
incident, though.
Exactly.
Yeah. Going back to the Franco incident, though, do you think he deserved? He got a 5-second penalty for it. Do you think he deserved it? Do you think it was his fault?
I mean, he did clip the rear of the car. He was well ahead. And it wasn't like he was cutting him off into the corner. It's like he was running wide out of the first left going into next
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It was a very...
I think it was a racing incident.
Yeah, my
That was
initial
how I
reaction
did
was
it.
racing incident. I didn't think there's anything malicious or wrong.
I
It
wanna
was very
see-
aggressive. He was very aggressive.
I want to see what the steward said.
Me
Out of
wearing a Williams
curiosity.
shirt, of course I'm going to say. You see, even though I'm a Ferrari fan, I wear the Williams shirt because A,
He
it
got
looks
2
cooler.
points on his license for it.
It looks cooler than the Ferrari shirt. But B, I'm a big fan of James Wells.
right,
I think
here
he's
is-
going to bring this team back.
Here,
And it's technically American because these guys own it.
Yeah.
Just gotta get some media training.
Yes. No, keep him this way. Come on, I want to read his thoughts right off his
right,
mind. I don't
here's-
want to hear a
think-
media filtered one.
Here's what
Okay.
the stewards say before we continue. Colapinto was attempting to overtake on the outside of Lawson at turn 1. He was not quite fully outside at the apex and through the exit and was thus not entitled to racing room at the exit. Lawson defended aggressively through the exit of turn 1 but stayed on the track and left just enough room for Colapinto to remain on track from the exit of turn 1 onwards through to turn 2. Although ultimately Colapinto did leave the track. Both cars were on a compromised line approaching turn 2. Colapinto more so than Lawson. Lawson gave Colapinto room at the apex of turn 2. Colapinto stayed on power, which ultimately forced him wide to exit of turn 2 and caused a collision.
Yeah. I hate to be Liam, like, in the corner of, like, against Liam on this, but, like, I just give a little bit more break there and he doesn't get that front wing damage. I mean, just a tiny bit, you know?
There's also a point to be made of 2 rookies.
Yeah.
Like, these guys have never raced in Mexico, and they've raced, like, 5...
Franco even less so than Liam.
less than 10 races between the two of them,
Yeah.
probably.
Jinx.
So I think Liam should have known to give a little more room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is my
100%.
thing.
I
Because when you're
can't
fighting with
wait.
like a Fernando Alonso, you can afford to close the door because Fernando knows what to do.
Yeah.
are
Liam
the
is still learning how to
stewards?
drive that car. Say it again.
Who are the stewards this race? I can't find the document that says their names.
I couldn't tell you.
Stewards.
Sure, we'll find out next
for
week.
Next GP
I
2024.
will say I can't wait to see
FIA.
what Franco Colapinto and Liam Lawson
What are
like
the
their top
stewards?
teams in the coming years.
FIA.
Yeah,
.com.
good pull. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
curious as to where they'll end up.
I have no idea, Jason.
All right, I gotta find out if it's Giancarlo Fisichella.
Okay, last little bit before we talk about the podium, because I think we need to give Carlos Sainz his flowers. But, Jason, how stressed were you when Charles Leclerc almost, like, took a little board with him?
I don't know how he kept it out of the wall. And what's beautiful is there's two like ad boards. There's one he passed on the left, and another one he passed on the right. Like he perfectly thread the needle through them. Incredible driving. And then all the dust, like you saw it like slide right through. I could not believe he kept it out of the wall because we've seen a number of drivers throw it away at that corner. Most notably, Valtteri Bottas a few years back.
Yeah,
I think 2021 was when he tossed into the wall there. I don't remember. Yeah, I was shocked. I mean, anticlimactic because I was ready for this battle to keep going on. And, of course, I want another Ferrari 1-2. You know, it was Leclerc's turn last week and Sainz's turn this week. And we're this close to the championship. Like, I'm so ready. Like, I don't know how
we said it on
McLaren's...
360, but I think Ferrari's taking this one.
I don't know how McLaren's going to fumble this championship so bad.
Like
they had such a lead.
It was theirs to lose.
They were so far ahead. Both their drivers are winning races, and Ferrari, out of nowhere, is gonna...
to be fair,
it's beautiful.
I think they've
Big time.
always been the better duo in this season. They just haven't shown it.
Driver lineup-wise,
I think so.
McLaren is younger, but just as good, which makes them better in a way.
I guess.
They each have their own edge, I think.
Car-wise,
I actually
McLaren-
prefer Ferrari's duo.
McLaren
I would
has
too.
been more consistent, but they've been falling behind last two races.
Yeah.
I
I'm
just
shocked.
think Oscar made a mistake in practice, and that happens.
I
I'm
think
shocked.
I
happened
think
at
that you
Ferrari,
can't
too.
put anything on the drivers. If McLaren fumble this championship, it'll be on McLaren as a
Yes,
team.
I agree.
absolutely.
Yeah, very disappointing. It feels like
A
the
lot
same
of-
way you feel
Oscar
after
screwed
they
up basically
lose.
2 weekends in a row now.
A lot
I mean,
of a lot of big things that could have been such easy tweaks from a team's perspective. Like, for example, it was very clear last weekend that Max was ahead at the Apex. They should have just told him to give it back.
Yeah.
I guarantee you he would have finished ahead of Max.
yeah.
He had the
Yeah.
car. He had the tires.
Yeah.
Is it hard to overtake Max Verstappen? Yeah, it's hard to overtake Max.
It's
But he
harder-
would have done it.
It's hard to do that though when you have the Donald Trump of F1.
You see, it feels
were gonna say
exactly.
that.
It feels exactly like it does when McLaren loses the Indy 500. They're always so close.
Oh,
They were
don't
in the
even
lead,
start
So
that.
close.
and then
Close,
something
yet
drops.
so
Something
far.
drops. Like
Stop.
Fernando Alonso, 2017. That was Andretti, anyways. And then you have McLaren later on, and
Don't
then you have
bring that
Pato
up.
Ward, and you have the
Come
tire
on.
incident 2 years ago. Like they're always so close. They're this close, and
All
then
right.
they blow it up.
Steven, I'll put you out of your misery.
Thank you.
Let's give Carlos Sainz his flowers. That man, Ferrari sponsors are gonna start getting pissed that they're not on screen anymore, because
Yeah,
legitimately, that's those two. I mean, obviously Charles ended up third, but before that one like mini off and him getting chased by Lando at the very end, you didn't see the Ferraris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gone.
Gone.
Big
Gone,
time
but
gone.
never forgotten. They were just
Yeah.
there. They were up at. It was kind of like a Max Verstappen-esque drive from Carlos Sainz today.
Yeah.
Nearly a 1-2 effort for Ferrari.
Yeah.
Nearly.
Yeah.
Very nearly.
For the second time in a row.
Yep.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I think that they can be very proud of where the upgrades that they didn't bring.
I was gonna say.
They brought upgrades in like Monza, I think.
Hey, those upgrades marinate.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Big
I
time.
think they found the sweet spot, and like you said, it's McLaren's championship to lose,
Yeah.
and they're gonna fumble it.
Yeah.
They will.
Big time.
They'll find a
It's
way.
It's still crazy to me that I forget who said it at the end of the race that the dude was just literally out of nowhere. It's just like, and that man is going to Williams.
Oh, so sad. Well, he won, and again, I was showing Steven this earlier. I keep seeing the "See You Again"
Yeah.
Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc edits because we have 5 races to go, and I will be crying my eyes out. Probably in the podcast, but also after the race.
It's gonna be so cursed
in
seeing
Abu
him at
Dhabi.
Williams next year.
It is.
Oh,
It is.
well.
It's very sad. It's kind of his last. I don't want to say last opportunity, but one of
I
his
think
last.
so.
At least we have the
Potentially.
most successful driver of all time in the red Ferrari.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see how that goes for you, bud.
I hope it goes really well.
All right. Let's talk championship super quickly. 566 for McLaren, 537 for Ferrari. So like we said, they're getting very close. Lando took 10 points out of Max Verstappen this weekend. They now sit at 362 and 315. The fact that last season Max had probably around 500 by this point is crazy.
Yeah,
Well,
very true.
What is going to be needed for Max to lose? Like, he needs to DNF.
He needs a DNF.
He needs
Yeah,
a
there's
DNF.
like no way he loses this championship.
He needs DNF. Honestly, they need. This is dirty racing from me, but
Oh boy.
they need Oscar Piastri to take one for the team.
Just be a missile.
Yeah.
Great play. Great play. You know what I thought about that
Or
for
George.
a flag football team? To just sacrifice, like, sub in one player just to do that. Like, maybe they have a really good quarterback. Just say, hey, I know this is flag, but you got to run full steam into the quarterback. Like, don't stop. We got to make sure their arm cannot move.
Trip.
Marina, how mad would you be if that actually happened? If Oscar just
If
like
Oscar's
somehow, like in some circumstance, took out Max in a race.
I could.
I
Oh,
would
that'd be
argue
crazy.
that if that actually did happen, the level, because of everything we're seeing now with, and I guess this is like way back, but everything we've seen now with Felipe Massa and the Crashgate stuff, I would argue it'd be a very hefty penalty on McLaren as a team.
Sure, but what about it wouldn't be on Lando? Maybe. You know,
Why would it be on Lando?
That's what I'm saying. No, that's obviously. That's an argument for, well, are they willing to give up the constructors? This is not going to happen. There's no way. Because, again, you make it a valid point. Like, with how these scandals have been, dealt
And
with
they've
recently.
been done and dealt with so far later
Yeah.
that right now it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Like,
It's very
Crashgate,
true.
yeah.
And you can talk it through in a way that, for example, if it's at a start. So I think it's very risky. And I think that Oscar Piastri is the wrong guy to do it because Oscar Piastri doesn't have a poker face.
True.
I think he would tell the stewards. He would run to the stewards after be like, I did it on purpose. I'm so sorry. So
Is that a knock on Oscar Piastri?
I think he's an excellent driver, but I think he's very honest and very fair.
That's
I
true.
think he has all of the on-track qualities of Max Verstappen and all of the off-track qualities of Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris.
Wonderful.
Ooh, so you're saying he's the ideal F1 driver?
I think I think he will win if Lando doesn't win it this year, I think he will win a championship before Lando Norris.
Lovely.
Interesting.
Hot
I think
take.
it could
You heard it here
happen.
first.
I don't know that
Hot,
it will,
hot,
but I think
hot,
it
hot,
could.
hot. Drop it.
All right. Very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Your quote of the day,
Yes.
not from Mexico, from
Okay.
another race,
Interesting. Okay.
but within the last, I'm going to call it 5 years. 5 seasons.
Okay.
5 years.
Did I send it or didn't send it?
Is
Is
Ricardo?
that?
Carlos.
It is
I
Carlos.
was gonna say
Oh,
Carlos, but you beat
man.
me to it. Damn.
Dang.
Yeah.
I
At
immediately
McLaren
assumed
still,
Goofy
right?
would be Ricardo.
I'm a McLaren, not Sochi.
Nope.
Damn.
It's
Was it
2019.
Was it Brazil?
No,
It wasn't the podium in Brazil.
it was latter half the season.
You see, I got that. I know the podium in Brazil. That was his first podium.
Mm.
Shoot. Then I don't know. What race?
It was Dubai. Or
Okay.
Abu Dhabi, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah,
Same
UAE.
difference.
All right. Predictions for Mexico. Rapid fire.
Yes.
Well, for no.
Sorry, for Brazil.
Brazil.
Predictions for Brazil.
Predictions
my
for
brain.
Brazil. I'm gonna stay on the Ferrari hype train. Except for I don't think it's gonna be signs. I'm going Leclerc P1, Lando P2. I'm gonna flip second, first, and third from this race, and it's gonna be Sainz P3.
Oh,
So it'll be Leclerc,
Okay.
Lando, and then Sainz P3.
Love
That's what I'm
it.
going for.
Sandwich.
Interesting.
Jason.
I also believe that it will be actually a return to form from Hamilton. Mercedes always runs well there.
I was gonna
Hamilton
say
loves the track.
Hamilton
He's
too.
been an honorary Brazilian, which is
Yeah.
kind of
Yes.
crazy.
Unfortunately.
So I think we're gonna have another Ferrari masterclass with Leclerc in P1. We're gonna have Max back in P2 because he's just that good,
Yeah.
and Hamilton for P3 because he's just that good too.
Interesting.
As much as it
Interesting.
pains me to say this, I don't actually think Max is going to finish the race next week.
Wait, you
Wow.
think he's getting a DNF?
I think he's going to DNF, but
Why?
I think him and Lando are going to take each other out.
I
Okay.
would not be
think-
surprised.
You know why? Because I think Lando's gotten one. Max has gotten one.
Now
and
it's
they
time to
both
go.
Have,
Whoosh.
they both have a reason to be angry.
I'm angry.
Although you could make an argument for Lando being too civil to really let it happen.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
True.
But Steven,
Yes.
go for yours.
I am feeling Charles Leclerc honestly winning it.
Yeah.
I'm feeling Charles winning
we're three.
So we're 3 for 3 on Ferrari.
it. And I'm just thinking Lando 2. Something tells me Oscar P3.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Oscar P3.
Respect it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna come back to form.
All right. I'm gonna go Charles.
4 in a row.
Wow,
Yes.
dang.
We're all pulling for Charles.
I think
this
Ferrari
week.
will go
Now
3
watch.
for 3.
George Russell wins the Brazilian Grand Prix.
That would happen.
Three.
That would happen. That would happen. 2-1 driver George Russell.
I think that I really hate to say this.
Oh, look, it poisons her to
It
not put Max
It
Verstappen on the
hurts me to say
podium.
this, but I think Max and Lando are going to take each other out. And I honestly think it'll be quite late. I think
Going into the last corner.
Nah,
Oh,
not
that would be
clock.
crazy.
It's that clock. I'm gonna go. Oh, so tight. I'm gonna go George
yes.
Okay.
and
Tier 1
Oscar.
driver George Russell.
So Charles P1,
Then George. Then
George
Oscar.
P2, Oscar P3.
I dig it.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright.
Any final thoughts?
No, I'm just
I
excited for another
am
race weekend.
shocked that Ferrari has come back. Usually, all their development curves are backwards. This year, somehow they're going forwards. So
Maybe
keep it
they're
up.
just
Big ups.
literally trying to be bad
Keep
and
it
not
up.
just being good.
Keep it up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we finally end off, I want to give big props to my mother because she won our bet this week, and I will be singing a song of her choice on our group chat
Oh.
with our
Nice.
family. Because I lost. I said Charles was going to win the race, and indeed it was Carlos. So
You weren't far
Wow.
off, though.
Close.
I was not far off for a long time. With that said, we will be back. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back next Monday at 11:30 Eastern Time. In the meantime, check out our socials, Instagram and TikTok at LightsOutLatest for Tech Tuesday, Wag Wednesday, Throwback Thursday, Fun Fact Friday, and Man on the Street, as well as some reposts from our live show this week on 360 Sports. So go check that out if you haven't already.
Yes.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Peace.
Bye.